Hey everybody, and welcome back to the gym. It's Rahul, and today I was gonna make a, just a little video about regionals coming up and how to prepare for it as a player, so you don't come out exhausted or you don't go in ill prepared. I know a lot of players coming to Orlando regionals or other regionals in their local timeline, I guess, like whenever their local one is, it's their first big tournament, and a lot of people have questions. A lot of people don't know how to prepare properly for these, or they don't know what to expect at a big event of this nature. So I guess I was gonna make a video today, or I am currently, about what to expect at a big regionals and like what a typical day is like, what the typical whole event is gonna be like, and kind of what to do in preparation. So right now, whenever you guys are watching this, we're about a week, less than a week away, a couple days, like 3, 4 days out from the event. So as a player, you should be, when it comes to deck choices, you should be coming down to your final couple. Because if you're going into the event a few days before with like 10 or 15 choices left, or you have no idea what's going on, that's not a good sign. And now I understand 3, 4 days, if you have nothing to do in those days, you can probably narrow it down. That's awesome, but like a lot of us have work, school, uh, life commitments, just stuff in general that'll come up. So in those kinds of scenarios, you just really can't get um, what you want to get done in those days. So as a player, you should be narrowing it down to like 3 or 4 deck choices that you want to be playing, getting the cards for those decks, figuring out where am I going to take my losses, what do I beat. So when you get to Friday night, you can comfortably be choosing between 2 or 3 decks. Like that's what I usually get down to on the Friday night before the event. I'll have 2 or 3 decks sitting in front of me, and either I make the decision that night or I sleep on it and wake up in the morning and whatever my gut tells me, I go with. And sometimes my gut's wrong, sometimes my gut's right, but all that matters is that you're content with the decision you made going into the event. And if you don't have any idea going into the event, you're not going to be coming out content no matter how, unless you finish day two or walk out with some money by some stroke of luck. You're going to be doubting yourself. You're going to be doubting your deck the whole day. So confidence is key at these events. And we'll start with just the registration process. So as a player going into a regional event, as of this year, a lot of regionals have started implementing a pre-registration process of each of their own. For example, for Orlando coming up this weekend, the organizers set up a website where you can go pay your $30 ahead of time and sign up, guaranteeing yourself a seat at the event. Now, you also have the option to pay at the door for 10 extra dollars. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, and I know like $10 you're thinking, if I'm like traveling this far or if I'm going there anyway, why am I worried about spending 10 more dollars? Well, it's not just about the $10. First off, the $10 could buy you another set of sleeves, buy you another card you need. I mean, it's a meal for a day. You don't need to spend that $10. Just do it a week in advance. Like, why are you waiting? It takes like 40 seconds to do. Your name, pop ID, birthday, put in your card information, pay for it. It's done. It took me like 3 minutes to do yesterday. Um, if you get there and they don't have enough seats for everybody, you can be turned away if you don't pre-register. That's the risk that you're taking. You're saying, I'm willingly going into the event knowing that I might not have a seat. And if the organizers say, hey, we're filled and our pre-registration showed like 400 people coming and we only have seats for 600 and 200 other people showed up and you're 201, sorry, you can't play. And that would be a real bummer if you went out that far. Even if it's like a 2 hour drive or something, you're making that drive to get there. You're making that time commitment out of your life to spend those 2 days playing slash observing that regionals. And if you can't play, that's just a huge. It'll it's a stinker. It'll leave a bad impression on you. It'll leave a bad memory, and nobody wants that. Nobody ever wants that. They just everyone wants to have a good time. Everyone wants to have fun. So just do that. Do your pre-registration. And now always follow what the pre-registration email says very carefully because in Arizona, a lot of players were suffered some sort of consequence by paying $5 extra to print out the registration email at the site because the email itself or the website itself had said to print off the email, and a lot of players didn't have access to a printer or didn't. As far as Orlando, I don't think that's the case. I think we just have to show up, and at most regionals, you'll just give them your player ID, and they'll just be able to check you into the event. Like, it's really simple. You just show up. Like, at big events like Nationals and Worlds, you've done the pre-registration, you've done the paperwork, everything is done. You're in the system. All you're doing when you're going to check in is saying, hey, I am this person. I am here. Here's a photo ID. Look at me. I'm here. And yeah, I'm here at the event. And they'll be like, all right, the system will just check you off, and you're in. You're entered. So that's pretty simple. You want to have a 60 card deck, probably new sleeves, sleeves that wouldn't get you reprimanded by a judge in any scenario of a deck check, and you want to be able to get your deck list ready. A lot of people write their deck list before the event, which I like to do as well. I like to have it done like the night before or like the morning of before I leave my house to get to the event, because if I want to make any small changes, I'm going to just like cross something out and like write it, and I'd rather have like a typed list than like my own chicken scratch for like the judge's purpose, because if they can't read something and they think it's something else, that's what it's going to be. And a decklist error is huge. William Herman in his interview said he had a decklist error that cut out one Lysander, and that could have made a huge difference throughout the day. So it's just like small decklist errors, and like, you don't want to ruin your tournament experience because you're coming out this far. Like, why take that risk? Just type it up. There's great sites like babysearch.com, I think. I use PokeGym to do mine, and I'll just print it out the night before. I'll print out two copies of the couple decks I want to play, and if I need to make any changes at the event, I just cross something out with one straight line, and then I'll just write it in, and it's like one thing that they have to read, the judges. I don't want to make it any more inconvenient on them, because there's like, we outnumber them like 5 to 1. There's like 5 players for every judge, and that's just a lot of work that they're already doing. So going into a typical regionals, you want to have a very good breakfast in the morning, because you don't know how your day is going to go. You don't know how long each game is going to be. You don't know how long, when you're going to finish the day. You don't know what's going to go on. Like, you want to go in ready to go. You don't want to go in and be like, oh, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Typically what I do as a college student, because I'm always used to like being tired. It's what college does to you. I like bring some energy drinks. I bring a lot of water. I always pack water bottles, and I always like pack some sort of a small snack so I can keep going throughout the day, like Chex Mix or like Doritos, something just small in my bag. Um, a lot of people bring fruit, um, just something small to snack on throughout the day because you're gonna have a very, very long day. For example, you wake up at like, I live about half an hour from the venue for Orlando, so I'll put you guys in a scenario for me. Wake up in the morning, like 7, I want to say. Eat something. I'll shower, eat something really quickly, make sure all my stuff's together, print out my deck list. I want to get out of the house by like 7:30, 7:45. Registration opens at 8, let's say 8 to 9. So I'm there by like 8, 8:15. Hop in line, talk to some people, say hi, what's up, tell a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a long time, get settled in. I've eaten, I've gotten set up, I've turned in my deck list, I've turned in my registration. I'm good to go. I go sit down, wait for initial roster to come up. Probably won't happen until 9:30, 10, because there's always some late things that happen. Who knows? You always give them like an hour leeway. Let's say by 10 everything's up, ready to go. You see you're on the roster. You always check roster, make sure you're on there. If there's a problem, you always go to the organizer and say, hey, I'm not on here. They'll fix it like pretty quickly. But if you don't, then it's going to be an even bigger problem for everybody at hand, and you might just be out of the event because you didn't have the uh, foresight to go check the roster like everyone else. Then rounds start. Round one goes up. Usually we'll play 2 to 3 rounds before lunch break. Now, these aren't best of one rounds like you may be used to at your local events, your league challenges, your league cups, cities, whatever. These are a best 2 out of 3 50-minute round. So you have to be playing carefully, being aware of the time. If you lose a really, really long game one, like a 30-minute game one, and you know you might win a 30-minute, like a 20-minute game two, there's not going to be time for a game three. That's a tie. That's 1 point. You need to probably have 20 points to be safe moving into day two out of your 9 matches at this event, especially Orlando. So you have to be able to, if you're in a scenario where you know you're going to lose early and you have no comeback and you don't see a way to come back in like 2 or 3 turns, I would just scoop up my cards and move to the next game. It's a best of three. You're allowed to have one game where you don't draw well. That's the benefit of a best of three. It happens to every deck, but decks can really showcase their true ability in a best of three scenario. Then you're moving in to so 3 rounds. 3 rounds have passed. Let's just say you're at 2-1. Let's be hopefully optimistic. We're 2-1 at this point in the day. Lunch breaks goes on. It's probably 45 minutes to an hour. Look or ahead of time. Look for all the closest food options. Know where you're going to go because every other player is also going to go there. So you have to be ready to wait in a line. You have to be ready to like not eat much. Like if you get out of your round late, like you get out at time, chances are by the time you get in line and get food, it's going to be a lot of time that you might not have enough. So you want to be able to like have a friend, have somebody with you who you can be like, hey, whichever one of us finishes, this is the order. If you don't see that we're done, text me. If I'm not done, just go. I'll be waiting here. Whatever. It's more important that you eat because it's still a very, very long day. If you like think back, we ate at like 7 a.m. At this point, it's like 1. Um, the day is just getting longer. We come back, we play 6 more Swiss rounds, presumably. I think almost certainly it's going to be 6, no more on day 1. We play 6 more Swiss rounds. Now I understand that if you start doing performing poorly, and you know you have no intention of making it to day 2, you can drop from the event. Like if you go like 1-3 or like 4-3, 4-3-1, and you know you're mathematically eliminated from the second day of competition, there's always the option to drop, and it's not a bad option. Um, some people like to play it out just to because it's their first event. I would always recommend playing it out, but if you don't like your deck or you're just not having a good day, there's no reason for yourself to force yourself to play more Pokemon. I've had events like, for example, last year's Orlando Regionals, I went 4-3 drop because I knew I was mathematically eliminated from the contention and I didn't want to play anymore. And I just dropped from the tournament and I decided to spectate and hang out with everybody, which is still an awesome thing to do. Keep in mind, you're at these things to have fun. You have tons of friends. It's going to be a fantastic time. I promise you. So just enjoy every aspect of it, not just the Pokemon. Enjoy the people too, because it's a great community. Other than that, it's it's gonna be a long day. I think last year when we finished up round 9, it was like 10:30 or 11 p.m., which is really late considering if we look at the timeline that I just hypothetically set, we started at like 7 a.m. our day. And mentally, you're already racing. And for me, before an event, I'm like a little kid. I get very excited, so it's hard for me to sleep. So that's also a thing. If you're sick, please be sure to like wear a face mask of some sort. Don't try to get other people sick because people usually always get sick at these events. So it's like wash your hands, stuff like that, just small stuff. Um, that's a day one, a typical day one. You're playing all day. Um, Only 32 people move on to the second day, which is brutal. I know. You're expected to probably have a 6-1-2 or better record. A win is 3 match points, a loss is 0, and a tie is 1. So you need to have about 20 match points to move on to the next day, which is brutal. And that's a lot. You're limited to very few mistakes throughout the day. But that's what's expected of players who are considered the best at this game. And you can have a bad tournament. Don't worry about it. Like you have one bad tournament. Like there was one tournament in my life where I went 0-3 and I was really upset for a couple hours, but then I realized I was like, whatever. Everyone's allowed a bad tournament. Everyone's people are learning. You're having a good time. Like just don't sweat it. Just have fun. Just at the end of the day, just have fun, dudes. Other than that, like you move on. So we're going to day 2. Day 1, you're done. You go get dinner. It's like 11 o'clock when you're eating at this point. So you've had a very, very long day. You're probably mentally exhausted. I'm usually mentally exhausted, physically exhausted just because you're moving around all day. You're talking to people. You just don't realize how much you're exerting yourself throughout the day. And then you go to sleep. Presuming you made day 2, you're coming back. You're coming back in the morning at like 8 a.m. You're coming back to play 5 to 6 more games of best of 3. And from that point, they take the best 8, who then play single elimination best of 3s. And if you've made day 2, you're probably already in the money, which is really good. So at that point, you're playing against some of the best. That's where the competition gets stiff. It's very tough at that point. Making it to day 2 is a feat on its own, but once you're there, you're you're playing against like some of the toughest players. You're playing against people who have also gone through that grinder of a day 1 with you. So these players have all made it there. You're playing the event, you're having a good time, day 2. Even if you don't make it, it's no shame in coming and spectating. I love to go spectate on day two, even if I don't make it, just to keep check on my friends, see how everyone's doing, just being there, enjoying the environment of the event. It's always a good time. The organizers are fantastic down in Orlando. There's stores, vendors, they sell like Japanese stuff that isn't available here, which is super cool. Um, and like we're right by Universal, so if you like end up doing bad, like go hang out, enjoy Universal. Like why not, right? um, Other than that, that's pretty much a lot of the regionals prep and what you need to do to go into an event. I usually have in my bag some Tylenol, some snacks, and some water just in case throughout the day I get hungry. Throughout the day I get like a headache. I usually pack an energy drink as well just in case like I'm running short on energy just because it's a very long day and I you need to be you need to be focused. You need to be at the top of your game. And I know like throughout the day people are getting tired. People it's getting late. People are going to be playing worse, and that's understandable. But you don't want to be like knocked out of the competition because you made a silly mistake that you wouldn't have made if you were alert. So it's just small things you can do to better your game and have a good time. Honestly, just have a good time at the end of the day. Um, Making everyone's here to make friends. There's not that many people here who are like, "Hey, I don't like you" after the game, and like you could beat them in a weird way, and maybe they won't talk to you afterwards, which is understandable. But like a lot of people here are like here to make friends. Like after the game, it's always nice to like check in on your round one opponent, like 3 rounds later, see how they're doing, how their tournament's going. Um, that's how you become friends with people. A lot of these players that I've been playing for 6 years, and a lot of the players I've been friends with, I make friends at every single event. Every single event I go to, newer players or come talk to me. We become friends. People I play every round, I have some sort of interaction with them. As long as you're polite during your game, don't ever be rude. There's like no reason to be rude during your games. Like be friendly, be ask where they're from, ask what their life is about. Like ask what they do for a living. Are they a student? Are you working? What brings them out here to Orlando other than regionals? Like where are they from? Like oh, you're from Tennessee. That's awesome. You're from California. Why are you here? That's so far. Just fun questions like that. You get to know people during the 50 minutes you're playing against them. I know there's times where you're going to be quiet because you're focusing, but like you want to get to know your opponent. You want to be friends with that person at the end of the day. And it's just a game. It's a community that's growing, and everyone should just become friends. And I like that's the point of this game to become friends and have a good time. Other than winning, but so that's pretty much it. Um, it's like I like rambled on for a little long. I'm sorry, but regionals is coming up. I'm very excited. I'm sure a lot of you guys are very excited who are coming down to Orlando. First standard tournament, so it's going to be a very very weird and wild one. I don't know what's going to come out as of now. I don't know what's going to happen. Mm, like my predictions are just like jumping from day to day. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're going to regionals, be sure to watch this and good luck. Good luck to everybody and have a good time. And thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed it. Uh, we'll do like regionals recap videos with some people going, like the Chaos crew. When we're there, we'll do like a regionals recap video. I'll do like all of us together in a room talking about our experiences or like the night before, something like that. We'll do something fun. You can get like to see some of us in action. I'll try to vlog when I'm there, so um, be on the lookout for that. I don't know how much I'll be able to vlog, but I'll like try to bring an extra battery for my phone just so I can do that. So thank you guys for watching again. Sorry, it took a little long. If you watch this through the end, you're a trooper, and thank you.